Well, I'm certainly glad that here on Sports Stampede,
Reaper
as
hasn't
the
come yet.
only live local sports talk in Denver from 8 to 10 a.m., we are still ahead of the Reaper. We're
That's
still
right.
with you.
You're still here.
And we'll be with you till 9:54. You know, in radio, you don't know about next week, but, so far, so good. It's time for the Rockin Company Rockin' CU segment. Just ahead of talking about quarterbacks and suspensions, good and bad news up in Boulder. It's the family-owned and operated company in Colorado, 5 decades, 2 generations, historic and modern masons and general contractors, Build with Rock and Company. We welcome in the editor, a very busy man, even in the spring, of BuffStampede.com, Adam Munsterteiger. Good morning, Adam. It's football weather.
It is. It's good to be on with you guys. Never a dull moment up at CU.
You're not busy. Don't give us that. There's no baseball there. You're not busy.
Let's start with the ever-present quarterback situation, which has to do with both recruiting and retention and health. What's the latest on whether or not the new hope for 1 year for the future, Webb, is going to come in and lead the Buffs? And if Sefo Lufau, in your opinion, can possibly be healthy if Webb does go to Cal?
Well, I think with Davis Webb, no news is good news at this point in time, and that's kind of the case with his situation. Mike McIntyre is basically saying the same thing over and over again, that I'm in daily contact with Davis Webb, and every time he tells me that he's still coming to Colorado. We've gotten further and further from that trip he made to Cal. But I wouldn't feel 100% confident if I'm a Colorado fan, only from the standpoint that Davis just hasn't come out publicly and said, hey, I'm done. I'm definitely 100% going to Colorado. Now, he does come out and say that, hey, I'm still committed to Colorado, so that's a good sign. We're getting closer and closer to the date in which he's supposed to go to the team that he chooses. He graduates at Texas Tech May 20th, and he's kind of said that he plans to be at his next stop the next day on May 21st. And so we don't have to wait too much longer. Sefo Lufau situation, they're not going to announce anything until camp. It's one of those with Mike McIntyre. He's continually said with that Liz Frank injury that they want to be.
Yeah, I know they're going to be close to the vest on it, and there's all kinds of privacy things. And Sefo himself, who I talked to on the field after the spring game, is very circumspect about it. But do you have a feeling, do you have an inkling or any kind of leaning or not that if he was needed, would he be available to play next year?
I would lean towards yes. I think that his recovery has gone along pretty well. You see him even just running around on the football field. I know it's different than actually participating and cutting and doing all that stuff, but I think I would lean towards I think that he will be ready to go. But of course, the perfect scenario would be the fact that you didn't have to rush him back if Davis Webb comes on campus.
So far that's good news. The other good news on recruiting has to do with the veteran defensive line getting even more help.
Yeah, Mike McIntyre again confirmed during his Pac-12 coaches teleconference that he expects Josh Tupou back this summer. Of course, he has been gone for about a year now due to a suspension, and it's big. Now, the big question mark is going to be what kind of shape is Josh Tupou going to show up for his first workout in, because this is a guy that he's been around 305 all the way up to about 340, and you really want him to play closer to that 305, and so he's not going to be in ideal shape being gone for a year, but I think if he can at least not show up at 360 or something like that when he comes back on campus, that would be big. They will have a little time to try to get him back into shape. But yeah, this is a former starter in his last season with the Buffs in 2014, was honorable mention all conference. So with Justin Solis graduating, that nose tackle job is up for grabs, and Josh Tupou obviously is expected to take that. And Mike McIntyre said this week he's a pro-level type player, so definitely huge for them. And in their 3-4 defense, you need to have a big body in there, which he is.
And Solis would not have started over Tupou, all things being equal. He would have been the backup last year, so that is terrific news. Speaking of suspensions, outside linebacker N.J. Fallow, thank goodness he's not an inside linebacker because of the depth there, and Dino Gordon, a running back that I've liked since high school, both arrested this week.
Yeah, they were arrested early on Thursday morning on suspicion of 4 counts. That included theft of laptops and other electronics, and prescription drug and second-degree trespassing. So not a good deal there. This is not something that's going to if of course it's proven to be true, which it sounds like the evidence is kind of there based off the reports that we've seen. It doesn't sound like these guys are going to be playing football for the Buffaloes this fall. In one of the Boulder Daily Camera reports, NJ Follow said he was just a lookout in the situation, so maybe the punishment isn't going to be as severe in his case, but definitely this is not just something that you give a slap on the wrist for. It will hurt their depth at outside linebacker. NJ Follow had a good spring. He was maybe not the number 1 or 2 with Jimmy Gilbert and Derek McCartney probably being the top guys there. Those guys are upperclassmen. But NJ Follow would have been a depth piece guy that would play quite a bit on special teams. And down the road, you hope that he kind of gets his situation figured out, because down the road, NJ Follow looked to have a bright future, was going to be a starter at some point. And then Dino Gordon, I talked to Darian Hagan a lot about him during spring ball, and his face would kind of light up every time he talked about him. It was kind of his project in terms of a guy that he thought had really high ceiling, a lot of potential. So just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, it really isn't. I like Dino Gordon, and I talked to Hagan on the field after the spring game about that too, and that was his guy. It is a devastating thing. Hopefully, they can stay in school. They can admit mistakes and learn from them, and get to continue their educations. We've been following Mark Knutsen's Send a Boy to Camp campaign, trying to get the NCAA to rescind their ban on summer camps, where Colorado travels the country, sends a lot of the assistants out, and uncovers talent that might not ordinarily know or can't visit Colorado. And sure enough, in quick order, the Pac-12 reversed their position, and the nation, NCAA has now removed the ban on summer camps.
Yeah, when I heard the Department of Justice was starting to inquire about the satellite camps ban, I was thinking, okay, the NCAA might have to do something here. Yeah. And the reversal of the ban was obviously the right decision, because there just wasn't a lot of research that went into this decision in the first place. Right. You had 2 conference athletic directors that voted against the best interest of their conference. There has to be some sort of checks and balances here, and so it's good. The NCAA is now seeking a broad assessment of just the basic FBS recruiting environment in general. So they just need to do more research on this. I think there might be some kind of a middle ground. I've seen this suggested a few places. Maybe you put a limit on the number of satellite camps you could have. Maybe each program can do up to 5 per June to keep it from getting totally out of control. I think that would be kind of a middle ground that they could maybe reach with this situation.
Kind of a Jim Harbaugh rule.
I totally agree with that, Adam. And in fact, I think the SEC, well, Jim Harbaugh made a spectacle out of this. That's fine. But the SEC and ACC's overreaction resisting it, they've made the problem worse, not better. There are going to be more satellite camps now. There are going to be more. In fact, Mike Riley at Nebraska was saying he's going to have to cut back his number that he was planning on, because it's just going to be too chaotic now. So many people are going to be doing it. So you're right. There needs to be some middle ground. There needs to be maybe some sponsored camps that other coaches come to, something along those lines.
Well, CU doesn't necessarily run their own camps,
right.
Adam.
No, you don't run your own camp.
They send assistants out,
right. Everybody
correct?
does that. That's how it's done. But there, like Adam said, maybe you have some limits, or you have, it's pre-registered or something. There will be some regulation involved, but it's good that obviously it's the right decision not to ban them totally.
Without question. These coaches too, they work so much. They do need a little downtime in the summer. So I think that would be another benefit to the limit.
Anybody from Colorado get drafted today in rounds 4
We want Nelson Spruce to be a
7?
Bronco.
Spruce, Crawley, Nembot?
Well, I think Stephon Nembot's got a really good chance to get drafted late just because of his raw potential. Now, we read an article on Buff Stampede about this. He's got to find the right fit, an offensive line coach that's going to be willing to teach him and be patient with him. But I think there's going to be at least one of these NFL teams that sees some potential in him to take, a 6th or 7th round pick on him. And if Nelson Spruce doesn't get picked at least in the 6th or 7th round, there's something wrong there. Yep. Because, I understand the combine numbers and the fact that he's not going to wow anybody with his speed, but you can't go through a college career, be the Pac-12's all-time leading receptions leader. And
love to see him here. Thank you, Adam. Great reading, buffstampede.com. We'll talk to you next week. That was Rockin Company's Rockin' CU, brought to you by family-owned and operated in Colorado. Historic Modern Masons General Contractors, Build Wood Rock, rockinco.com.